Now, anime is considered the best media out there when it comes to telling stories, but I do believe that even that has its limits. Not every story can have the best representation in an anime format. Some are just different. And up you empty skulls, if you think stories has reached its peak with Attack on Titan, Naruto, and Re:Zero, well, you're in for a rude awakening, buddy. Because today we have a show which can eat up all these shows for breakfast. Now, as good as that sounds, getting an anime like that probably won't have the best outcome. And before you could say anything, just let me explain here. Today I have a manhwa series called Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, or Omniscient Reader. Call it whatever you like, but before I start talking about it, let's get about the basic plot first. This manhwa isn't just some power fantasy where the main character gets isekai'd and suddenly becomes overpowered. No. This story is about stories. A tale of a man who was never meant to be the protagonist, yet finds himself standing at the center of a collapsing world. Our main character, Kim Doksha, was just an ordinary office worker, but his only solace lay in the pages of a web novel no one else cared about. 3 Ways to Survive the Apocalypse. He had spent over a decade reading its countless chapters, knowing every twist, every tragedy, every hidden truth buried in its long-forgotten words. But somehow, just somehow, the novel suddenly became reality. And the world crumbles into chaos, and he alone holds the knowledge of what's to come. In this cruel game, the characters he once knew as mere words on a screen now breathe, bleed, and break before his very eyes. Some were meant to be heroes, others to be villains, but what about the Oyaku, who was just a reader? He was never written into the story. He was only ever meant to read. But can a mere reader defy the author of destiny? Because in this story, the one who knows the ending may be the only one who can change it. Now, Omniscient Reader is just too big for me to say each time, so I'm just going to call it ORV. And one more thing, I'm not only going to be talking about the manhwa today, I'll be discussing the web novel as well. So spoiler alert for manhwa readers. Now for me, ORV is probably one of the best stories out there, and I'm not just talking about the manhwa or the novel, I'm talking about every medium of modern media I have ever consumed. The twists, the characters, and the way the story unfolds are just brilliant. But let's go through them one by one. So first we have the characters of ORV. Now I'm not going to talk about all the characters, because if I start doing that, this video is going to end up 10 hours long. But yeah, all of them are really great. Especially the Queen of the Underworld. You can call me a simp, but I won't mind calling her mommy. Anyways, when it comes to the characters, there are 2 things a series can do. The first one is rake all plot points like character development, emotional depth, and relatable stories, and throw them in the trash like Solo Leveling. And the second one is what ORV did. Take each and every character and slowly add depth to them. You're not going to feel the impact for each character right off the bat. Some may seem like completely unrelated to the story, but then the series throws an insane plot twist right at your face and you realize why the character was introduced. And then they don't disappear right after one single arc, because for God's sake, this isn't Naruto. Each arc solidifies their presence and makes an integral part of the show. And the best example of that is our plagiarist writer. She started off as a typical villain, but towards the end of the show, she was basically the main lead. For me, she is the best character in the show, and if you can bring one person, just one, who likes ORV, but doesn't like her, bring them to me. I'll be rewriting their reality. And then we have our Sunfish. So this guy, but with basically the edgy main character with the most overpowered stats, he is Sung Jin-woo, but a little bit violent. Kim Doksha tries to talk things out, but this Sunfish ignores that and chooses to get himself almost killed every single time. And that's the energy throughout the whole series. Forget plot twist and action, this dynamic is peak storytelling. And speaking of storytelling, let's talk about the story. Now, the best thing I like about ORV is how well it builds up its story. Because unlike other fantasy stories, it is definitely not rushed. Each and every arc is properly fleshed out. The story doesn't drop you in an intense battle right from the get-go. Rather, it takes its time and slowly increases the stakes. Arcs like Great War of Saints and Demons and the Demon King Selection start off in a basic setting, but the way it builds up to one of the most epic finales is just, I want to say peak, but the word peak has been so overused recently that I feel like it will be an insult to say it here. But it's basically phenomenal. Let's talk about the plot twist, shall we? ORV does not hold back. You think you figured something out? Well, bam, plot twist. You recover? Bam, another plot twist. The amount of betrayals, revelations, and absolutely insane moments in the series will have you questioning reality itself. And unlike some series that drag things out, One Piece, ORV keeps things moving at breakneck speed. Just when you think things can't get any crazier, the main character pulls another insane move that changes the game entirely. And trust me, the Great War of Saints and Demons arc, yeah, it'll make you go bald. Yeah, that's how good it is. Here you are the reader and the story sucks you from the beginning to the absolute finale. And all of the arcs build up to one final arc, the epilogue. And it definitely does not disappoint. Talking about disappointment, I just watched the live action trailer for ORV and everything was pretty decent overall. Until I saw a freaking gun. Yes, they replaced swords with guns, are you freaking kidding me? There is literally an arc where they go to a different dimension and practice their martial arts with swords. So where are they going to go now? America? Anyways, let's just forget about this one, just like how I'll be forgetting about the upcoming beginning after the end anime. So overall, I have to say ORV is a must-read for anyone who loves stories that challenge, inspire, and break you in the best ways possible. A lot of people like to compare ORV to the big three of anime, and although both are different mediums, when it comes to storytelling and characters, ORV solos all the big three combined. Yeah, I know a lot of people are not gonna appreciate that line, but just read this one. Just read the story before you actually start a pointless argument here. The only stories that come even remotely close to matching the epicness of ORV is probably the beginning after the end in Lord of the Mysteries. If you are one of those people who like to compare ORV with Solo Leveling, I've got nothing to say. Yeah, Solo Leveling might have a better manhwa and anime adaptation, but apart from that, there is absolutely nothing that is comparable to ORV. With all that said, I have just one last thing to say. That is, ORV will be getting an anime adaptation, which will probably come out in 2026. And as good as that sounds, I don't think that is going to be a good thing. ORV getting an anime sounds great on paper, one of the most epic web novels with one of the greatest lore and mysteries, one of the best groups of characters with one of the greatest plots to get in an anime. But you have to understand how it is going to flow from here on. Now for those who are expecting this anime to get Demon Slayer or Attack on Titan level of animation, it's probably just not gonna happen. Taking on an already popular series like ORV is a huge commitment. Most of the anime that are praised for great animation nowadays were at best mid when it came to their original source material, but that isn't the case for ORV, because the web novel is one of the most popular web novels out there. So it already has a huge number of fans who will have a lot of expectations when it comes to anime. And ORV doesn't just need good animation, it deserves it. The Great War of Saints and Demons and the Journey to the West, these arcs need that level of animation to match the story. And then comes the next point, which is that it almost is impossible to properly adapt the story into an anime. That's all because of the sheer scale of the story. There is a freaking war of thousands of dragons in the Great War, a literal smashing fest between the Constellation and Outer Gods during Journey to the West. How are they going to adapt this into an anime? CGI? Using that much will require a budget equal to a freaking Hollywood movie. And if the proper budget is not there, we will just be getting another Berserk 2016. Just look at the manhwa and the novel illustrations and you will get what I'm trying to say here. But for me, that's not the biggest problem either, because the biggest issue has to be the story of ORV itself. There are just too many stories to cover in just an anime. There are 551 freaking chapters in the novel, and the manhwa will probably cross 600. Solo Leveling had only 200 manhwa chapters, and look how much is being cut in the anime. And if you do that type of cutting to ORV, you will be getting an even worse form of what Tokyo Ghoul was. Alright, let's theorize that the anime has great animation as well as absolutely no plot points cut. How long do you think people who haven't read the novels will watch it? Covering one arc probably will take one season at least. And the number of arcs this story has is definitely not small. People will have to wait a minimum of one season to adapt, and each season will at least take a year to animate. And now if you do the math, ORV will probably have about 10 seasons, with each season having 12 to 13 episodes. So it will take about 10 years to completely adapt ORV, and that is the best possible outcome. And with all these seasons, a group of highly intellectual people will definitely appear on Twitter who will call this show repetitive and mid due to its long-running ads. And a lot of you will say that One Piece has been going on for 25 years and Attack on Titan went on for 10 years, but guys, you have to understand, these are literal cult classics. Expecting ORV to reach that level while still shows like Vinland Saga, JJK, and Chainsaw Man are being adapted, they're just being adapted alongside it. It's just basically impossible. Overall, I just want to say that I'm just not confident about the success of the ORV anime. Yes, if it's properly adapted, the first couple of seasons will be loved, but I believe the hype will soon begin to die out. And due to the haters and geniuses on social media nowadays, I really ask you guys to take all of that I said with a grain of salt. Everything I said may turn out to be false, and ORV might turn out to be one of the best upcoming web novel adaptations to ever exist. And I really wish for that to happen. This story deserves a great adaptation, but I am just a little skeptical. But still, I am absolutely wishing that I'm wrong here. And that's the video for today, folks. If you're able to make it this far, please be sure to like the video. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press on that bell icon and set us all to be notified about all our latest new videos. And also comment down below on why you think I might be right or why you think I am horrendously wrong. Honestly, I really hope I am wrong. But as for now, I'll catch you later. See you in the next one.